Corruption has existed as long as mankind. Any form of inducement with money, precious gem, land, slaves for money, and even women in the olden ages are evidences of corrupt practices. In Nigeria, corruption became widespread after the oil boom in the 1970s. Oil money was used to gain favors for companies, government offices, position and juicy contracts, kickbacks as it was known in the past, metamorphosed into a plague that has pervaded every sphere of our national life. There is no aspect of the society that is free from corruption. Evidences abound on how shoddy deals or businesses are transacted with government funds and money siphoned to private pockets. Can Nigeria find its social equilibrium? We went to the streets to find answers from Nigerians. Welcome to Corruption Must Go, a production of the Public Enlightenment Department of ICPC. My name is Murna Ishaku. Hawasani Garba will bring us update with the latest developments in the fight against corruption on Tidbits.
Welcome to this segment of your program Corruption Must Go. A prosecution witness of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) at a resumed hearing in a case involving one Hassana Danladi of the Nigerian Prison Service, who was standing trial for alleged job racketeering, told the court how she had paid money to the accused to secure employment for her son. The prosecution witness, while being cross-examined, stated that she was introduced to Danladi by one Pastor Yakubu Wambai, who said that the accused had already helped his daughter find a job. She further told the court how she and a few other unsuspecting job seekers had paid large sums of money to the accused without gaining any employment. Sensing that the entire process was a scam, she quickly ran to ICPC to lodge a complaint, which the commission investigated. Hassana Danladi had been arraigned on a 9-count charge before Honorable Justice C.U. Ndukwe of FCT High Court 37, Kuje, for violating Section 10 of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000, which prescribes corrupt demand or receipt of any benefit by a public officer in the discharge of their official duties. This section of the ICPC law also stipulates that any public officer who engages in the aforementioned act shall be guilty of an offense of official corruption and shall, on conviction, be liable to 7 years imprisonment. The accused person had pleaded not guilty to all the charges, and that had set the tone for the trial to commence. No fewer than 15 officers of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) have undergone a 3-day intensive in-house training for ministerial and departmental Savicom officers at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja. At the opening ceremony of the training exercise, the chairman of the Commission, Mr. Ekbonta, who was represented by the Secretary to the Commission, Dr. Elvis Oglafa, in his address, advised the participants to use the opportunity of the training to improve on the job given to them as Savicom officers. Mr. Nta also said he believed that Savicom would have little or no work to do in ICPC because the organizational structure of the Commission was already in line with the requirements of Savicom, adding that ICPC was 100% Savicom compliant in terms of dedication, teamwork, integrity, and commitment to duty.
By our own organizational culture, it is in line with what Savicom does. So we are very pleased to have you here. The ICPC is more than 100% Savicom compliant.
Speaking at the occasion, Acting National Coordinator of Savicom, Mrs. Nnenna Akajemeli, argued that corruption contributed to poor service delivery. She explained that if every unit and department would truly serve and do the right thing, nobody would bribe for services.
The government has thought about what the citizens will need and so established ICPC with clear-cut mandates. And I can see your vision, your dream to have a Nigeria that is free of corrupt practices. We are aligning with this, and we have corruption growing every second that we spend in this nation when services do not serve the people. If we all do what we're expected to do, the right thing, the real reason why offices of government, ministries, departments, and agencies are established, if we do it right, then people will not go to take service with a lot of money in their pockets to bribe the process so that they can get service. And therefore, we are all partners in progress.
That's all from this segment of the program. Back to Murna.
You're watching Corruption Must Go. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari had said during his inaugural speech that if we do not kill corruption, corruption will kill us. A factual declaration, you might say, but what if corruption decides to keep Nigeria so that it becomes a living dead and a source of nourishment for the corrupt? Let's hear what Nigerians have to say about this.
Corruption has made many Nigerians lazy. They are not ready to work for whatever they earn. They want to just sleep and wake up and be rich. So it has dealt treacherously with the population. For example, students don't want to read their books before they pass exams because they can bribe lecturers. People want to get into positions in office without meriting it. They believe in connections which they have, and it has dropped down drastically the capacity of Nigerians to produce. So it has dealt very much with our individual integrity and also the economy of this nation. I think it is possible for us to attain that equilibrium. It only has to be gradual. It might not be very drastic because, like people say, it is difficult to bend dry fish. Now, so what we have to do is to build up, the power of working hard. Everybody should be ready to work. Everybody should be ready to, earn a living, not just to have money, and not just to have anything on a platter of gold without working for it. Now, and people in positions of authority, one of the challenges is that when people, before they get to power, they do a lot of things, particularly spending a lot of money. And when they get there, they must also try to recoup that money. If people are voted into power on the merits or on their integrity, I think less will be, be spent in trying to, less time will be spent in trying to get this money back to wherever they borrowed from.
There's so many ways of corruption. Even the layman on the road is corrupt. If you tell lies, you're corrupt. Yes. If you also go and put NEPA wire, a wrong one, you're corrupt. If you sell things to people, adding too much money, too much gain, you're corrupt.
So what is the way forward?
Even at home, you're corrupt. The way forward is to start to give people, reorientate people on behaviors. Parents at home, don't say, it doesn't matter. So we shouldn't always, every time we're talking about corruption, we head to money, who embezzled this and that. It starts from home. Let's start from home now. The way Nigeria is going now, because when I was teaching, they introduced civic education. The way Nigeria is going now, it has to start from grassroots, from children, You have to start inculcating good values in people first. Before somebody gets to embezzling money in an office, he's already a big thief. He grew from small to know that stealing is nothing, to know that pilfering doesn't mean anything before he now goes to do the big one. It starts from home. Parents are no more doing their work. You want to go put your child in a boarding house, and you don't know how he behaves. All you want to do is, you don't even give people, you don't give your child time to earn some things you're giving him. Because your neighbor bought a bicycle for his child, you have to go and buy. You are competing. When we were growing up, you earn it. Your parents will say, okay, if you are first in the class, I'll buy you this. So these are all facets of corruption.
In the Nigerian situation, we find a situation where people tend to look at it as if public office holders are those that are actually corrupt. But it's not always like that. Even the private sectors and individual, once your mind is corrupt, the roots of corruption have already been seen. So we believe that to actually tackle corruption in Nigeria, we must first of all change our mindset as to what is actually right. What should we do to benefit others? In short, the issue of love your neighbor will transcend to your action and your inaction, provided it doesn't affect your neighbor negatively. So to me, that is what I understand by corruption in Nigeria.
But actually, what went wrong somewhere along the line that it became so bad like this?
Well, the issue of celebrating material things is one factor, where you see people holding public offices that were known from history not to have anything. 3-6 months into that office, you see them having flashy things, and then an observer outside somewhere will say, wow, that position that person is holding, there must be something in there. So you discover that people tend to devise many means to get into that office, and by so doing, once they find themselves there, there is a kind of a national cake that must be shared, and you see people looting and taking things that belong to the masses without actually using those same resources for the benefit of the general public. I think that is where things start getting wrong.
This scenario of disequilibrium is troubling. How can we resolve this social problem with current public efforts? A lawyer and human rights activist, Mr. Babatunde Bamiboye, has this to say.
Corruption affects liberty, and therefore there is a saying that the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. If you are not vigilant, you will lose your liberty one way or the other. It don't have to, not necessarily because you are incarcerated, you are in a prison, you have liberty. But once certain conditions of life you are supposed to have, you don't have them. You don't have freedom to go to school the best way you should, medical care, accommodation, and all that. You have in a way lost your liberty. You cannot choose your leaders freely. You have lost your liberty. The price we have to pay for that liberty is eternal vigilance. And once we are not being vigilant from day one, it's just like a child growing up. He didn't set out to become an armed robber. He didn't set out to become something terrible or a menace to the society. But he wakes up, he's lazy. Laxity sets in his life. Growing up, he must find means of survival. One way or the other, it's a natural instinct of a man to survive. So once he is unable to have the skill that will enable him to earn legitimate income, then it turns into other means, social vices. And that is what we also have in Nigeria in our life as well. If we translate it to the life of a nation, we are a people given to, enjoyment, which is not bad anyway. But the consciousness as citizens, human rights are not served a la carte. You have to fight for it. You have to be vigilant about it. When it is time to vote, you go to vote. When you see corrupt acts, you report. When you see omissions, you report. You are vigilant. then corruption will stay away from you. But because we have been lax as citizens, that is why we have corruption. And going further, we can look at again, can Nigeria have, or can Nigeria attain a social equilibrium? And by equilibrium, I mean a situation whereby the average citizen in a nation can become the best in himself or herself. We can look at a situation whereby we have the average life expectancy in Nigeria for the man is about 56, for the woman is about 53. That means if you live to become 60 in Nigeria, you have actually exceeded what is expected of you as a Nigerian because of life expectancy. Now, how did we come about that? It's because of corruption. Now, Nigeria must be able to attain a certain equilibrium that allows you to live out your potentials as a human being. Citizens of other countries, like Japan, people who live up to 80 years, why can't we at least get to that? We must create the system. Can Nigeria do that? That depends on whether the citizens, is not just about the government now, because when you look at the anti-corruption agencies, ICPC, EFCC, and Code of Conduct and all that, you look at how many officials they really have. Can they monitor every act and omission of corruption throughout Nigeria? No. Therefore, you need the citizens to be able to monitor. So there is a need. What I believe the agencies can do is through mass media such as we have to create the awareness that look at corruption. This is how it affects you. Now, if you do A, B, C, and D, you will be able to attain the social equilibrium. You break it down. What do you mean? What is inherent? Because if an average person in the street may not understand what is the social equilibrium, now you will tell him that he would have access to education and will be able to educate himself to the best of his capabilities. He will be able to live in comfortable and decent accommodation. At old age, he will not suffer. Those are the things that create equilibrium. And someone said, I think it's Arolaski, who says that let the free play of capacity win response to its needs, and let those prosper who show the power to triumph. That is, you in the first instance, you satisfy certain conditions of life that are basic. Once you have provided those conditions of life, you allow people now through industry to become prosperous if they can. If you can be like Bill Gates or like Dangote, you are an entrepreneur, then you have the opportunity to become that. But coming out of life or coming into life, you have certain conditions of life that will enable you to become the best in yourself.
For Nigeria to find its social equilibrium, it must proactively strengthen its measures for safeguarding fundamental human rights. The way it shares its commonwealth must be transparent, fair to the citizen from whom it obliges loyalty and obedience. Transparency, probity, fairness, and justice are the goals of ICPC's anti-corruption work. My name is Murna Ishaku, reporting for Corruption Must Go.
They say every day is for the thief, one day for the owner of the house. But ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, has reversed the role. It is now every day for the owner of the house. If you're involved in bribery, over-invoicing, or any shady deal, the day of reckoning has come. ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, is watching you. If you're reported for any corrupt practice, you'll be investigated, prosecuted, and punished. Corruption is harmful to our nation. Join the campaign against it by reporting any corrupt practice to ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Let we join hands with ICPC, make them better. Let's make Nigeria great again. ICPC, they want you. Hand for corruption.
Break the chain of corruption now. Don't give, don't take. This message is brought to you by ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Oftentimes, when ICPC suspects undergo interrogation or those about to be detained are given the opportunity to make phone calls, their first utterance to their relations or friends at the other end of the line is usually "Wahala Day." That exclamation has provided the name for the Commission's mobile app, which it unveiled recently to journalists in Abuja. Wahala Day is an all-in-one mobile tool that enables citizens who have installed it on their phones to interact with the Commission in a stress-free manner. It provides a channel through which petitions, reports, and complaints can be forwarded to the Commission, while acknowledgements to such can also be received by the sender. Surfing through Wahala Day opens a vista of wide variety of information on ICPC, its activities, and cases that have been concluded, as well as those still in courts across the nation. The application is available for download free on 3 of the 4 mobile phone platforms, namely Android, BBM, and Microsoft Windows. Efforts are underway to make it available on iOS shortly. The app has the following features: latest news, reports and stories about ICPC's cases and activities, about ICPC, brief history of the Commission, iReports, feature that allows users to send reports from wherever they are, send a petition, for sending petitions including attachments, office locations, addresses of ICPC offices across the country, contact us, quick contact for messages, etc.
The war is far from being won, but we are making steady progress. Let's join our hands to be sincere agents of change, embrace integrity, and act against corruption. Call us on 0800 Call ICPC. You can also watch us on www.youtube.com/ICPC Nigeria. See you again next week. I am Murna Ishaku.